If you're thinking about making a move this year, this is the part of the market that nobody's talking about. The thing is, this could be labeled as a good market or a bad market, but both of those labels are wrong. Because what it is actually is a selective market. And what do I mean by that? Well, some people are having a huge amount of success and their move is working out great, while others are really struggling to get their transaction done in this market. So you see, the biggest risk isn't like, did I buy too high or did I sell too low? The real risk is actually misreading what part of the market you're in and thinking you have leverage when you don't really have any. Lots of people ask me, hey Jeff, is this the right time for me to buy or sell? And that's really the wrong question because it's much too vague. The better question is, what type of move are you making and how is the market treating people just like you? So if I was in the market to make a move this year, here's exactly how I'd be thinking about it, depending on what type of move you're making. So if you're a first-time home buyer, this market can be extremely confusing and frustrating. Home prices are way down from the peak in 2022, and interest rates are down and stable from their peak levels. But the economy isn't really inspiring right now, and the news cycles can make it seem pretty scary to jump into the housing market. And you might even have people in your circle, friends or family, telling you it's a bad time to buy and that you should wait. The truth is, waiting is a safe play. But waiting without a plan is where things get risky. Right now is one of the few times in the last decade when buyers have actually had leverage in the real estate market. And what does that mean? Well, it means you have more choice, you have less urgency, more time to make decisions, more leverage at the negotiating table, and ultimately you're in the stronger position against the people who are trying to sell their homes. The problem is that that leverage can really disappear quickly if you're not prepared. The biggest problem I see with people trying to buy homes right now is not on pricing and affordability, it's actually finding the home they want and then not actually being able to buy it. Let me explain. Even though there are a ton of homes for sale, it feels like there is lots of choice and very little urgency. But the reality is there's a large part of the market that's moving very slow, while there's a very small part of the market that's moving fast. And you guessed it, the fast moving homes represent the best homes with the best presentation at the best price. So you get this situation where multiple buyers are competing for the best properties and nobody wants the leftover ones. All too often it can feel like the market's really quiet until you find the home you want, and then that home seems like it's super hot. That's because most buyers are attracted to the same few deals. And the house is going to get sold to the buyer who's most prepared and ready to act. This leaves you as a buyer waiting and watching this other part of the market that nobody's really interested in. So let me be clear, if I was buying my first home this year, I wouldn't be rushing into it, but I would be prepared and ready to act so that when the perfect opportunity arises, I can make an offer. Buyers have huge leverage right now, but leverage only works if you use it. Now, a group of home sellers that I have concern for this year are the downsizing sellers. So if you're trying to get out of your large family home and into something smaller and more affordable because of your lifestyle, this can be actually a challenging market for you. See, the type of home you're going to be trying to sell is exactly the type of home that's sitting on the market longer and longer and selling for a discount price. There's far more competition for buyers at the lower entry-level price points and for things like townhomes and single-floor bungalows. While your large two-story, high square footage family home has slowed right down as affordability still presses the average buyer. Now, the biggest thing that's holding a lot of downsizers back is they have the memory of a potential price one of their neighbors sold for in the run-up of 2020 to 2022. And with that number in their head, they're taking their home to the market with an inflated price that just isn't realistic in today's market. Now, the good news if you're a downsizer is you probably bought your home quite a while ago. So that means you're sitting on significant equity or you may have no mortgage at all. So my main advice here is if you want to make this move happen, we need to accept the current market reality for the home you're selling to be able to access that cash and get you into the property you want to move into for your lifestyle. Of course, you're free to wait out until better market conditions and more enthusiasm comes back to the type of home you're trying to sell, but you're going to need to weigh your own timing and decide whether waiting for the number is more important or getting on with your life transition. Either path is okay, but you can't have both things at the same time. If timing does matter to you and getting your home sold this year is critical to your plan, then the presentation of your home matters more now than ever. See, the person you're selling your home to is likely a young up-and-coming family with dual income. And that's a much different presentation than potentially the way you have your home right now, where you've been living in it for 10, 15, or 20 years. The best way to get your home sold in this market is to make it stand out and to have your home appeal exactly to that two-income family. If your timing doesn't really matter, patience can actually work in your favor. My advice here isn't just to push off your move forever. We've got to align some things you're going to want to see in the market to get you excited to make this happen. Now, the opposite scenario is where people are winning big time, and it's really the hidden opportunity in a slow market. Upgrading your home in a slower market is always a winning playbook if you're financially comfortable and can afford it. I almost hear nobody talking about this. You see, the most affordable parts of the market are still moving extremely well. This includes starter homes, entry-level townhomes, and modest homes in desirable neighborhoods. So the home you're currently living in will still be able to be sold quickly and for potentially a premium in this market. But if you're upgrading up into $800,000 plus or even $1 million plus, that market is ice cold. So you get to be a strong seller and also a strong buyer. That's a rare opportunity in the real estate market. Now, this gap creates a massive opportunity for you, but only if you play your cards right. The mistake I see a lot of people making right now is they're out shopping and then making offers conditional on their home selling. And while this seems like a low risk or no risk situation, you have to understand in the eyes of the seller, the one you're trying to buy the home from, they're trying to get their home sold in a tough market. So when they see an offer come in that says you need to sell your home also, it really lets the wind out of their sails and makes them uninspired that your offer is ever going to get across the finish line. The much smarter play for upsizers in this market is to get your home on the market, listed and sold first, so that now you know the exact amount of money you've got in your bank account, and now you become a cash buyer on that higher end home. You're going to win on both selling your home and also on buying. This is the winning playbook right now. There's a whole separate segment of the market that is actually pretty rough. If you're trying to sell an investment property right now, the market is completely unforgiving. Pure investor buyers are quiet. I mean, very quiet. A lot of them got pummeled through the downturn of 2022 right up until today. So there is a real lack of investment dollars out there in the marketplace. If your property only really works on paper, or you're trying to get a high valuation, or you've got people in there at low market rents, it's going to be tough to get you a good price. The little trick here is the highest value buyer for your property is going to be actually an owner-occupied buyer, not a pure investment buyer. So we need to understand that and reposition and present your home right to that ideal buyer who's going to want to buy the property for themselves, either to live in one unit and rent the others, or potentially use one unit commercially for themselves while they rent the others out for cash flow. This means we need to treat the sale of investment property much more like the sale of a residential property, where the presentation and the showing really matters. And if we're going to try to sell it to an owner-occupier, we're going to need to also provide them vacant possession of the unit they desire. And realistically, when we're in a tough market and there's very few buyers, we may need to get realistic on your price if you want to get rid of this property in this market. Now, on the flip side, the worse that the market is for sellers, the more opportunity there is for buyers. And if you are into buying a real estate investment right now, there is more opportunity and choice than I've seen in almost my whole career. Maybe you're looking at a cottage, a vacation home, a secondary residence, a pure investment property, or just looking to add a multi-unit property to your portfolio. If that sounds like you, then the opportunity is almost unlimited. But here's the trick. Not everything for sale is a deal. There is a lot of stuff, especially in the investment real estate market space, that's just sitting on the market overvalued. We need to figure out how to sift between the homes that are just hopefully trying to get a number and the ones that are really offering pure value to the new buyer. The key here is getting below the surface of the data and really digging into the seller's motivation. If the seller has a reason to sell and they need to access their capital, they're going to be a lot more motivated than that type of seller that's just throwing their home on the market to see what happens. Knowing specifically what questions to ask the seller and their real estate agent make the key difference into figuring out who's motivated and who's not. So with all that being said, here's the big picture. We have one big real estate market with all kinds of different submarkets with different market conditions. If your move depends on everything feeling certain and for sure, this is going to be an uncomfortable market for you. But if your move depends on leverage and planning, this can be your golden opportunity. The reality is you just need to get honest with yourself on what type of move you're making and whether or not it's important you make it this year or you'd rather sit this rocky market out. And this is where I see a lot of people get stuck. Not because they don't have options, but because they think they want to have it all, and they're not willing to look at these honest trade-offs that have to be made in today's market. If this matches how you're thinking and you want to talk it through with no pressure, just reach out. Always remember, markets don't make decisions, people do. And the right move for you is going to look different depending on exactly what situation you're in.